Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. Today we are debuting the 2025 Breitling Superocean Heritage Collection. 36, 40, 42, and 44 millimeter. We've got all of them, straps and bracelets, sizing, specs, pricing, and wrist shots. This is going to be a full rundown of the collection, available starting on June 11th. And what you see is what you get. These are close to production variants. The real thing in the store will be even better, so consider this a bare minimum. These watches are deeply appealing because all of them draw on the heritage of the 1957 reference 1004, Breitling's first dive watch. And of course, the Superocean Heritage itself has quite a bit of, well, heritage, as the original version arrived in 2007 and quickly became one of Breitling's best sellers. The line was redesigned for 2017, becoming the Superocean Heritage 2, and now this is unofficially, I suppose you could say, the Superocean Heritage 3, though it is not being billed as the third of a trilogy. It is merely the latest, and we will go through everything that makes these cool and fun. We're going to start off with the 36, which I actually like the best, partly because I'm a bit of a fan of vintage sizing, and also because I love the color. And looking at this dial, don't think yourself aberrant or offbeat if you taste this in your mouth. This is a dial that's definitely so colorful you can practically taste it. And for that matter, so is the strap. You're looking at the Superocean Heritage Automatic 36. Now this is the one that in steel is 36 millimeters in diameter. All of these are measured at the bezel, not the edge of the case. And like all of these watches, it actually measures slightly smaller than the claimed size, as my calipers reveal. This is 35.7 across the bezel. So I think they actually wear a little bit better than their rated sizes. It's exceptionally thin. For a 200-meter dive watch, 10.8 millimeters, that is pretty much best in class. This will fit under a dress cuff easily. 42.8 from lug tip to lug tip. It has an 18-millimeter spacing between the lugs. We're going to throw this on my wrist, which is 16 centimeters in circumference, and get a sense of how it fits. This is going to be for either a petite wrist or someone who has a taste for the look of a true vintage dive watch, which all tend to be much smaller than modern divers. So this is the one I like best. I think the color, the size, the slimness, the fit, everything, the comfort, game over for me, at least. That said, if you're looking for sizing guidance, I think you could wear this on a wrist as small as 13 centimeters circumference. Of course, the strap is color keyed to the bezel insert and the dial. It's designed to look like the bracelet in terms of how it's molded. It features a folding clasp. It's a twin trigger clasp, so it can't pop open until you press both triggers. Now, here's the thing about pricing with the bracelet variant and the strap variant. I don't think that there's a price argument for choosing the strap over the bracelet. This is $5,500 on the bracelet. This is $5,250. I think the reason you choose the strap is because you want the feel of rubber, the color complement, or you're really interested in substantial on-the-fly resizing, either because your wrist is going to expand, contract, you think your weight might change significantly over time, or you want to give the watch as a gift and have the recipient able to wear it immediately. I think on-the-fly sizing and aesthetics are the reason you go with the strap, because for only $250 more, you could have the bracelet. And the bracelet feels great. It looks great. And of course, you'll never have to price in replacement straps down the line. Now, it has a double folding action and it has a twin trigger release. This is what the inside looks like. All the bracelets you're going to see across this model line are scaled versions of this, so they work the same way and they look the same. You could see that there are several removable segments inside each side of the bracelet, so there's a lot of adjustability. And I would say that this is how I would wear it, just because I think it's got a bit more presence and a better match for a male wrist when it is on the bracelet. Very comfortable. It feels silky, not like chainmail, but like some sort of a fabric. And again, super slim. That's one of the real advantages here. Taking a look at the watch more in depth, you could see that We have stepped lugs. We have no crown guards. We have a minimally calibrated bezel, broad arrow, hour hand. All these elements are drawn from the 1950s and Breitling divers of the period. You can also see that the bezel is still constructed using captive methods. So you can see how the screws are featured on the edge of the bezel. That's not ornamental. Those actually fix the bezel to the case, so it can't easily be snapped off by an impact. So it's a little bit tougher. Screw down crown, 200-meter water resistance. All of these are screw down crown, 200-meter rated. All of them feature ceramic bezel inserts, every size, 120 clicks. Very positive. Feels great, sounds great. A bezel that really makes the watch. Take a look in the dark. A feature common to all of these is that all three hands are luminescent, so you can tell even in the depths where light tends to ebb, you could see that your backup dive timer, your watch, is running correctly. So inside, you can see these do not have display case backs. The larger models do, but they also have a different movement. This one is the Breitling B10 based on the ageless SW300. Bidirectional automatic winding, 42-hour power reserve, hacking seconds, quick set date, 4 hertz beat rate, and of course 5 position adjusted and a COSC certified Swiss chronometer, even in the most basic 36 millimeter size. Remember, only 6% of Swiss watches are certified chronometers, so that is quite elite. A lovely metallic sunburst dial, rhodium plated steel hands and indices. They really pop. They are applique, high grade. And you can see that the metallic graining of the dial is just radially explosive. Turning it on its side, you can see we have a bubble-like sapphire designed to evoke vintage plexiglass. Note how the lugs ride up the side of the bezel. That's a trick that designers in the watch industry use to make a watch thinner, but also avoid placing the bezel over the top of the lug, allowing the lugs to ride up the side of the bezel a little bit so they don't look cropped or excessively short. So a really cool watch, and this is how I'd buy mine on the bracelet. $5,500 on the bracelet, $5,250 if you get it on the strap. Okay, we're going to talk now about the Superocean Heritage B3140 Kelly Slater. So the first thing you note is that B31 is a different movement. This is now a Breitling exclusive caliber. We're going to talk about that in a moment. You also heard that this is the B31 Automatic 40 Kelly Slater. And yes, Virginia, there is a 40 millimeter non-Kelly Slater with the B31, but we're talking about the model endorsed and inspired by the American Championship surfer Kelly Slater. So these are part of a 500-piece limited edition in steel, 40 millimeters in diameter, with a unique bicolor lacquered dial inspired by the athlete himself. We're going to start with the strap watch. Once again, let's talk about size. 40 millimeters in diameter, it's still quite slender, 11.9 millimeters thick, 48 from lug tip to lug tip, 20 millimeters is the spacing between the lugs. Once again, we have a strap designed to look like the bracelet, and we have all the advantages of the clasp that we discussed previously. What makes this different is we now have a movement that Breitling just debuted in March of this year. It's the B31. This is a collaborative endeavor with manufacturer AMT out of La Chaux-de-Fonds. And if you're thinking TH31 double aught, you're not entirely off base. All of these things exist in the same mechanical engineering universe. But you can see that Breitling here has a unique free-sprung architecture. It's a 26 joule movement beaten away at 4 hertz, 78-hour power reserve. It has hacking seconds and a quick set date. And again, 5 position adjusted and a chronometer, lots to love. A bigger movement than the SW300. It's a better match for a large display caseback. You can see stripes, polished screws, snailing on the rotor and the ball bearing, and perlage engine turning on the base plate. Turning it all over now, we're going to throw it on my wrist, get a sense of the fit. It's a good fit. I think this will probably vie with the 42 as the most popular size in the current watch collecting paradigm. I think this is right about where a sports watch buyer is looking to buy. As ever, the bezel specs of the 36 are valid here. We'll take a look at it on the bracelet, take a look at its wrist presence on the bracelet, and I'm going to opine that this is a watch for a wrist of 14.5 to 15 centimeters circumference. I would even say on the strap, it's a better match for a 14 centimeter wrist. On the bracelet, it does wear a little bit larger, and here's why. The bracelet has some flair to it. It doesn't pull straight down out of the lugs, so from a fit standpoint, it wears a little bit larger than the exact same watch on the strap that you just saw a moment ago. So the strap is a lot more pliant. So if you need to put it on a smaller wrist, this one is for 14 centimeter circumference wrists and up. Okay, so that's the 40. Now we're going to talk about the 42, which is available in the variants you see right here. And by the way, if you're wondering about the pricing on the Kelly Slater, I should have included this a moment ago. The Kelly is available for $6,450 if you want to get it on a strap, and then this is $6,750 if you want to get it on the bracelet. All these are going to be available on June 11th. So if you're watching this on June 11th, then these are ready to go. So 42 millimeters, this will be very popular. I think that a lot of guys are going to go back and forth between the 42 and the 40, and I'm going to help you make that choice. Now, we may as well lead with pricing here since we almost missed it last time. If you want this watch on a bracelet, whether blue dial or black, remember you can mix and match right here, as you can with all these, but it's going to be $6,500 on the bracelet, $6,200 on the strap. Now, we'll start with the strap. The watch is 42 millimeters in diameter, still quite slim at 12.1 millimeters thick, but now getting much broader across the wrist at 49.5 millimeters with a 22 millimeter spacing between the lugs. Remember, the 40 was a 20. This is now 22. It's a bigger, broader strap. The watch has an impressive stance and presence. It's not overbearing. I could wear this watch quite easily, but I think you're getting towards the limit of what a 16 centimeter wrist can wear. So let's say this is a great watch for wrists my size and up. So 16 centimeters circumference and larger. We'll take a quick look at this watch in the dark. We'll do a lume shot, and I apologize for my fingerprints here. I'll buff that dial a little bit while the lights are out. One advantage you do get with the larger watch is larger luminescent hands and indices. So if this really is something you're going to use for diving, on that basis, you might want to consider the larger versions just because there is more lume in aggregate. Now, taking a close look at this dial, you can see although it's metallic, it is also extremely glossy. So it's not a pure metallic dial like this is a pure metallic brushed finish. This has a little bit of a lacquer-like gleam, so it's a different aesthetic, not just a different color. Again, we've got the B31 on the reverse side beaten away. And again, we've got a bracelet option. So taking a look at the bracelet here, this is what I mean when I say the bracelet has some rigidity. A strap can pull straight out of the lugs, where this is going to go arc out before arcing back in. So you got to build that into your assumptions when you're deciding what kind of wrist this can fit. Now, I do believe this fits my wrist. I do think we're also pushing up against the limit of what's possible. So once again, 16 centimeter circumference wrists and up. Really, none of these are very thick. Every single one of these Superocean Heritage watches is thinner than a no-date sub. So just keep that in mind. All of these things will work with dress cuffs. And once again, we've got sort of that lustrous quality to the dial that makes it look as though this is a combination of metallic base and maybe some lacquer, but it's a very rich and upscale ambiance. All right, now the big boy. So I would say that if you go back to 2007 and you look at the original launch of the Superocean Heritage in its first generation, the biggest watch was downright huge at 46 millimeters. The fact that we now have a 44 as the capstone to the collection sort of speaks to where watch collecting is going these days. Now, this is interesting because we have a very dark green, as distinct from the sort of mint green of the 36. Now we have more of a forest green. We have that same kind of a glossy treatment on the dial, not really a hard sunburst. It's metallic, but it's more glossy metallic. We have a lovely forest green ceramic bezel insert and a forest green rubber strap. So if you're talking about pricing here, very easy to understand that this on a strap is exactly the same price as the 42. It's $6,200. Things are going to change a bit because we're going to go two-tone next, but let's put this on the wrist. You can see it's still the B31 movement. Let's check this out, see how it wears. It wears very, very large. Although not absolutely huge, I would say it's too large for me, being 44 millimeters in diameter, 12.6 millimeters thick, again, a very thin diver, but 52 millimeters now from lug tip to lug tip. It's still 22 millimeters, so the strap and the bracelet from the 42 will work on the 44. Keep that in mind. But this is a big watch now, and I'm going to say you need a 17 centimeter circumference wrist and up to wear this well. So from there, we go two-tone. So this is where things start to get a little bit Gucci. Upscale red gold bezel And now we're talking a price of $8,200. But remember, we're not just adding gold, we're adding the bracelet. So I'm going to throw this on the wrist and just reassure you that every version of this bracelet is internally and mechanically the same. But the watch definitely has presence. This is something that would look great in Miami. It would look great in Los Angeles, San Diego, if you are surfing off the coast of California. It would look great in the Mediterranean, a warm place like Singapore or Hong Kong during the summer. A really, really nice watch for times when the temperature rises. And during those times, you may prefer a bracelet, which can be easily rinsed and renewed endlessly, unlike a strap, which will eventually wear out. For $8,200, you're also getting the durability of the bracelet here. So this is the Superocean Heritage B31 Automatic 44. And it is the largest and it is the most expensive, which makes it the flagship of the new line. If you have an interest in this or any of these watches, if you're watching this video, these watches are now available through the 1916 Company online or our physical locations. So you can reach out to Team Mosso at the 1916company.com for purchase, pricing, and availability details.